But that's kind of where we're gonna pick up. You guys are fleeing East Haven. You're running quickly away. It's still very. It's like after midnight, so it's still early in the morning. As you guys were fleeing, you had killed the captain. You had killed Jenkins, and in fact, Valin had raised Jenkins from the dead to a zombie, and she'd sicked him on the town, and you guys were fleeing. And actually, that's where we're going to start. Is you guys on the outskirts of town, to the far west, to the west gate. And in fact, as you were making your way through town, the bell has been ringing. So the bell is something that they ring mostly in all towns when there's like an emergency, or to wake people up, or to get the rest of the guards scrambled. The bell has been ringing. But as you're running through town, Suzanne is she's been keeping up with you, but occasionally she'll whip her tail out and strike one of the buildings, like knocking the roof down or busting the windows as she's going. So she's just causing havoc through the town as you guys have been leaving. But that's where we'll pick up, just on the outskirts of East Haven.
I'm going to help Suzanne. I'm going to take one of my torches and throw it into a building which I think is empty. I'm not going to do a perception check. I'm just going to throw a torch into a building.
Okay, sounds good.
Hold on, can Rogar try to interfere with that?
Sure.
Friend, it is not the people of the city we're mad at. It is the leadership.
And?
So maybe we should attempt not to murder innocent civilians.
No, this is just a distraction.
Then make sure you're setting something on fire with no one in it.
So I'm still just going to throw a torch at a building?
As you're leaving, Valin remarks, "Perhaps we should go to the town of Good Mead. It's a little to the west. It's much smaller, a place to lie low."
I think that's our only option, so let's head that way.
Okay, and I'll throw you guys the map so you can see where she's proposing that you go to. So that's East Haven, and she's recommending that you take the road down to Good Mead, which is only like 2 or 3 hours, because you can take the road the whole way, which is slightly to the southwest. But as you guys travel outside of East Haven, I'm assuming you're going straight to Good Mead.
I would say yes, unless anybody wants to stop anywhere.
I can't remember if I did this around her before. Did I happen to use my divine sense to see if I got any weird feelings about Valen?
Yeah, you've used it a few times with Valin, and you didn't pick up anything.
Good.
You did, when we were last time, you did express a little bit of concern when she raised Jenkins as a zombie. And yeah, that's some necromancy. That's not strictly evil in Forgotten Realms. Like, it's just not forbidden to use it, at all. It's just, yeah, she did do it. Questionable act, perhaps, but you guys had already killed him, and he was not necessarily a nice guy. But that's the only thing that you've seen that you weren't exactly agreeing with her on.
Yeah, I think if we feel we're being chased by an entire town guard, we probably just make our way straight to Good Mead.
And as you're walking along the road, Valin, she's an elderly human female anyway, but she seems to have a bit of a disability. When she moves, she walks very slowly, so your speed is a lot slower than it normally would have been. But she's doing a good job of keeping up. And then, of course, Ollie is resting on her shoulder. As you're walking, though, Suzanne is keeping up with you guys. She's looking around back and forth a little excitedly. But Valin says, "We should probably not enter the town with the dragon."
I am sensing a theme here. Does no town here enjoy the company of dragons?
And she kind of laughs. "I think you can count on none of the 10 towns being very happy with a white dragon in the middle of town." Not to mention the destruction that your pet just caused will fastly travel through Icewind Dale. She will quickly become quite infamous.
Are we just outside of Good Mead now?
Yeah, if you guys aren't going to stop, I'll take you to the next map, which will be Good Mead. So the road is fairly simple to follow from East Haven down to Good Mead. The sun is beginning to rise. You guys are entering that brief period of sunlight before the darkness takes over. But as you approach the town of Good Mead, you see that it's actually smaller even than Bremen or Lonelywood. In fact, there might be less than 100 people that even live here. Most of the buildings are wooden. They're pretty squat, like not even more than like one story in some cases, like they don't even have attics or anything. You see one large structure off in the distance that appears to be 2 stories or even taller. It stands out significantly, but from this distance from the town, this is what you can make out.
Rorgar will, in Draconic, try to get Suzanne to stay out of town.
Suzanne sits. She does the thing like she's done before. She cocks her head to the side and her tail whips around back and forth. And now take control of Issa. And Issa says that she will stay with Suzanne just on the outskirts.
Ah, thank you, friend.
But you see smoke rising from some of the chimneys outside of Good Mead. And Valin turns to the group and she says, if you couldn't have guessed, this town is named after the chief production. Its mead is served throughout all the 10 towns. I've been here before. It's a fairly peaceful place. We shouldn't encounter any troubles here. She says, I suggest we make our way to the mead hall. That is probably the best place to find a place to stay.
Guard's gonna pull his little book and he's just gonna look for any names in this town.
You do have a name of someone in this town, in fact. The name of the person that you're looking for is Zach Onstad. You don't have anything about like where they would be or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna see if I can just find a guard, or yeah, just anyone really.
So as you're walking into the town, you notice that there are a number of people going back and forth, like mostly leaving their homes and everything for the morning. You do notice as you've walked in, you can see that the water that this town is also on a different lake than you've ever been on before. But what's different here is you don't see fishing boats or anything like you've seen in the other 10 towns. It's apparent that this town doesn't fish for really any purpose or anything. You see people going back and forth, but no one stands out as a guard. You could stop someone randomly, but unlike the other towns, you don't see like a group of people with spears or swords or anything acting guardish. It's just mostly, just like villagers going about their day.
Yeah, I'll stop someone.
I would say you stop a human female. She's a little shorter. She's got dark skin, and she looks up. She pulls back her hood because everyone is, heavily clothed in furs and stuff here. And she jumps back as she looks at you. She says, "What are you?"
Guardian. What are
Oh.
you?
My name is Dia.
Pleasure. I am looking for a gentleman named Zach Onstad.
Oh, well, Zach is the owner of the mead hall. Are you here about the speaker?
Maybe.
There's much confusion about what to do. There's been talks about an emergency election even as early as tomorrow. It's a lot to handle. Kendrick was such a valuable part of the town.
sorry for your loss. Could you point me in the direction of this mead hall?
And she says, "Oh, yes, it's quite easy to find." She points to the large structure in the middle of town. You can't miss it.
Thank you. Short Dia. And just stand up and start walking.
And as you guys are entering town, you notice the buildings are all made out of wood, of course, and there's a small forest that is just on the outskirts of town. The buildings all have designs in them carved in the wood, like lizards and dinosaurs and stuff.
Can I take a closer look at some of that and see if I can see if there's any meaning or story behind it?
Of course. As you move into one of the buildings, why don't you give me a it's probably a history check.
Sorry, I'm having a weird computer issue. One sec.
You notice with a roll of 10 that they don't seem to reflect any kind of scenes or anything. It's just mostly random carvings in. But what you recognize from the lady that you talked to, you kind of piece that with what you're seeing here on the buildings. You can assume that she's probably from the part of the Forgotten Realms called Chult, which is deep in the south in the jungles. And that part of the Forgotten Realms or Faerun, there are lots of dinosaurs and lizards and stuff. And she has the dark skin of a native of Chult. So that's probably indicating that majority of the people here are from that area. Or at least at some point they moved from there.
I'm trying to see if that's close to where I'm from. I don't think so. I think I'm more west of like the Faerun.
Yeah, I think Chult is pretty much all the way in the south.
Okay, I guess we head on to the mead hall.
And as you guys make your way through town, again, small groups of people are moving out of their homes and going about their day. As you're walking to the mead hall, you see, like I said, it's a very large 2-story structure. And as you're walking closer and closer, you hear kind of a buzzing sound, and it's not like a ringing sound like from your sword variant. It's not like that. It's just more of a buzz that gets louder and louder as you get closer.
Is this like an insect buzz?
It kind of sounds like it. But the lights are on in the mead hall. It's very well lit. You can tell there's actually lots of people in it, which, a tavern typically is busier at night or like the afternoon. To be so busy in the morning seems a little unusual. But as you guys get closer, you look around Laja, and behind you off to the corner near the water, you see what looks like a Temple of Lathander. But it looks like it's kind of run down. Lots of the windows are busted. There's no, lights or anything. Which typically a temple of Lathander, I imagine, has at least a few lights going. This thing is totally dark. Some of the, like the doors, some of the doors are boarded up and everything. It looks to be mostly abandoned, but it's a fairly large temple for a town this size.
Interesting. And the mead hall looks just like a normal building other than the buzzing happening somewhere.
It looks sort of like a tavern that's leveled up quite a bit. It's
Okay.
It's gone. I mean, it's a huge structure. There's lots of windows. It's a very, very large building. A tavern isn't usually quite as large as this. This has a pretty big footprint to the point to where it stands over all of the other buildings in town. It's still built with the same style wood with all the carvings of like lizards and dinosaurs and stuff on them. But this one is just much, much bigger. But as you're standing there in the kind of the intersection in front of the mead hall, you see a steady stream of people actually entering it.
Rogar will head in.
Yep, I'll follow behind.
Okay.
Same with Virian.
Yeah, Garden will go in.
Moving y'all here. This is a pretty large map because there's a lot going on here. So the mead hall is probably the largest tavern that any of you might have ever been in before. And you see lots and lots of people here. There's people, of various races. Mostly you see humans, a few half-elves here and there, a few dwarves going about their day. Most people are sitting at tables with ale, drinking very solemnly, which again, this is kind of unusual for this time of day. But you see all sorts of people. There's low conversations going on, but the room is lit very well. It's very warm. There's a fireplace off in the north corner with a bunch of people sitting around it, and it's a nice couches and stuff. Across from you, directly ahead, you see a huge bar with a few people seated around it. Behind them are large casks of ale. But what's even taking your attention even further is the source of the buzzing, which you can now identify, are in the back of these large honeycombs, which have lots and lots of bees inside of them. The buzzing that you're hearing is coming from the bees that are contained inside of these honeycombs.
Interesting.
Is
Garden's-
is Valen still with us?
Valin, yeah, she's still with you. Let me find
Right,
her and I'll
okay.
drop her in for you. I forgot about her, so I've got to find her token. One moment.
As we wait here, Rogar will go up to Guardian and give him a hearty pat on the back and give him 18 points of lay on hands healing.
What are you doing?
It's a good pat.
Yeah, it's a solid pat on the shoulder.
Guardian just looks at you for a moment, shrugs off the pat, and continues walking in.
Yeah, you might feel awkward, but you probably also feel better. So yeah, you get 18 hit points.
Thanks.
Guardian, as you walk past one of the tables, you hear, say, this lady, and she's talking to a friend of hers who's also in some heavy furs, and she says something like, "Did you hear in Lonelywood? They found an awakened moose that was terrorizing the town, and some adventurers killed it and they chopped off its head. Can you believe it?"
I keep
Did
walking.
just Guardian hear that?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Did Guardian hear that, or did we all hear that?
I think you're probably all a little further out of earshot, but Guardian is, as the one who told me that he was walking in, is definitely the one that heard it.
I just look at her as I'm walking straight forward and then slowly rotate my head forward. Once about here, I'm just gonna go and say, Zach Onstad. And just look around, see who reacts.
And from behind the bar, a gentleman who is, maybe wiping off the bar, polishing the wood even further, he puts down his rag and he looks up and he says, yes, my name's Zach Onstad. Welcome to the meat hall. What can I do for you?
Crunch, 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 crunch. I'm just standing at the bar there for a second, look down at it and look up to him. He's like, Toloth Van Neer has passed. I'm here for tribute.
Zach seems very crestfallen when you say this. He actually lowers his head for a minute and he says, "I'm sorry to hear that. He was a good man."
He was.
You said you're here for tribute?
As part of the customs. Something to be given. Doesn't have to be of immense value, but something personal that represents the individual. It will
She said-
be burnt with him, and then mixed with the ashes and then spread.
I see. Just a moment. And he turns, kind of walks off to the side here. There is a lady who's actually between you, Varian, and Guardian as you guys approach the bar, and she looks up. She also has the dark skin that shows that she probably is from Chult, or at least one of her ancestors were. But she turns and looks to you, Guardian, and she says, "Are you perhaps here about the speaker?"
Did you not just hear what I said? I am here for tribute.
She says, "That's interesting. Where did you come from?"
Originally, Redwood Town.
And then a moment later, Zach returns and he slides something across the bar to you, Guardian, and it's a single gold coin.
I will make sure to keep that separate from my stash and put that in with the gifted necklace.
He says, "That was the first coin that I ever earned. May not be much, but very sentimental, or high in sentimental value to me."
Understood. Thank you.
And the lady next to you, Guardian, she says to him, "Well, you should keep that, Zach. That you might need that soon." And
Garden will just look at him for a second, like, did you want it back?
And Zach doesn't answer. He actually pours some mead into 2 cups, puts one in front of you, Guardian, and then puts one in front of you, Virion, without really even saying anything. And kind of turns back to you, Guardian, and he says, No, that's my tribute."
Very well. And he'll look at the drink and he'll grab it and drink it, but because of the last combat, that kind of just spills out some of the open holes he has.
But Zach says, "You forgive the nature and the current climate in the bar. This is actually a wake."
Everyone looks sad, though.
Yes, our speaker, Kendrick, well, there's no other way to put it. He was murdered last night. He's very dear to the people of this town.
Do you have any suspects?
Well, if you want details, you'll have to go talk to Shandar. He points to a dwarf near the fireplace. Well, Shandar fancies himself as the speaker, although we haven't run an election yet. But all evidence is pointing to a Verbeeg who lives in the forest. Verbeegs are giants who are very much like large humans, is what they look like. But he's saying that a Verbeeg probably killed the speaker.
Did this Verbeek sneak on in?
Zach says, I don't know much about why, but, well, the Verbeeg took 3 of our casks of mead, which we're going to bring Shander in the morning. Those casks, well, that's our primary source of income in this town. Everyone here does some sort of work that relates back to the sale of mead. Without those casks, there's just not going to be an influx of money. So, loss of the speaker was enough, but loss of the mead was just as much of a blow to the town.
I see. He'll just stand there awkwardly for a moment. Like, I will talk with this dwarf.
And the lady you were talking to before, Guardian, she turns to you and she says, "Before you do that," and she extends her hand awkwardly, and she says, "My name is Olivisa Untapor."
Hello, Ollie number 2.
She kind of squints when you say that. The dwarf that you're talking about, his name is Shander Froth. He's a logger here who owns a band of, or a company that provides most of the wood for Good Mead. He fancies himself the next speaker, but he can be a bit duplicitous. I, for one, don't trust him one bit.
Then I will treat him as suspect.
But Virion, the ale or the mead that you've got in front of you in the cup smells faintly honey-like. You get a smell of honey from it.
Virion will turn to the person next to him and just be like, "Is this honey locally sourced here?"
And Olavisa, she points to the bees in the honeycomb behind this casks, behind the barge. She says, well, in fact, this honey is produced by those bees. They're the only ones left alive in Good Mead.
Wow. Is there an issue with keeping the bees alive here?
Yes, indeed. Well, with the cold, presents a certain challenge. And not to mention the town of Good Mead, our sacrifice is warmth. So, every month, which will happen in 4 days, the new moon. But on the new moon, every month, the town of Good Mead puts out every fire to every source of warmth, which in this freezing cold has killed off most of the bees. And in fact, Zach and his family, she kind of motions to him, they spend the night crowded around the bees, hoping their body heat will keep them alive. And you can see there's not many left. And when they're dead, so goes the source of the mead, or at least the mead that's been produced here in Good Mead for generations.
Well, if they need an extra body to help keep it warm, and I scribble my name, probably spelled incorrectly, into an arrow and give it to her, you just let me know.
She looks at it awkwardly. Thank you. Thank you for the offer. Might I ask, what brings you to Good Mead?
There was a situation in another town, not really worth getting into. But we're here now.
It's an interesting tale, though.
It's very interesting, but you don't want to hear about it. It's full of intrigue. A guard named Jenkins that needed to be murdered. A talking owl. Pretty standard stuff. I'm sure you've heard it all before.
Some alcohol, and a man wanting to give an old lady his wood.
Yes. Wood that, I believe, when diarrhea is added to it, becomes explosive.
I
And
think
she
we
says-
forget that part.
And she says, not that I'm interested in the exploding wood per se, but my company actually fashions the casks that you see that holds the mead, and that's produced here at Good Mead. And one of my biggest problems has actually been getting wood at a good cost. You see Shander, and she again points to the dwarf in the corner. He and his company produce all of the wood here in Good Mead, or at least they've cornered the market. So if you have an angle on someone that can provide at least cheaper wood, I'd certainly be interested.
I believe we have a wood plug that we can hook you up with. He may be courting someone in another town, but I think we can make the connection happen for you.
She says, I would very much like to meet your friend then.
No, let's do things one thing at a time first.
Seems pretty important, though. But that's okay. We'll get word out to him, and it'll happen when it happens.
Yes. just gonna step. Guard's just thinking to himself, why am I talking with people?
Guardian, as you make your way up there, you notice that there's a dwarf who's been identified as Shandar Froth by both Zach and Olivisa. And he's sitting there and he's kind of surrounded by a group of other humans. And they're all wearing furs and stuff. But they're all they're drinking and laughing and really having a good time, hogging up most of the space around the fire.
Excuse me.
And the dwarf, he takes a sip of ale and he turns to you and he says, "Oh, hello."
Salutations.
"You're quite a funny looking fella."
And you're quite short.
"Indeed, what brings you to the beautiful town of Good Mead?"
Personal business, but now I'm wishing to help some of the locals here. They had mentioned that you might know some more details about the speaker's death.
"Oh yes, terrible business here. Speaker Kendrick, very beloved pillar of the community, as it were, viciously murdered last night by that terrible beast in the forest. I have been saying for years we should clear that cave out, but here we are. He killed the speaker last night in cold blood and stole the mead."
No. Honestly. For real.
If you don't believe me, you can ask Fief Morin. And he points down, like across the bar at a lady sitting at a table. She was the first on site.
I'm just curious, where did the speaker die?
There's a spot just north of town. He was guarding the casks himself. Apparently this Verbeeg wanted it. The speaker tried to stop him.
And does this Verbeeg have a name?
Probably.
I take it you don't know it.
Of course not. Why would I be talking to a murderous Verbeeg?
I don't know. Why would you?
Listen, we have ourselves quite a problem. This Verbeeg murdered our speaker, but even worse than that, he stole some valuable mead that we need for a shipment in this town. So, here it is. I will hire you if you go to the forest and kill this monster and take back our mead. I am prepared to offer you compensation.
1 second. He'll just turn around and look at Varian and Laja and just shout out their names, and he'll look to Rogar and still call your name, even though you're right next to him at the same level.
Yeah, friend, I'm right here.
Making sure you're hearing me.
Yes, Mr. Shandar, you may not know this, but you're looking at the group responsible for helping Lonelywood with their magical moose problem.
Oh, well, perfect. I have the right people. And he looks at you, Laja. Oh, hello, Sister Dwarf.
Hello.
It's always good to see one of the mountain folk here in the Dale. Don't recognize you. You're not from Battlehammer Hold, are you?
Not exactly. I am from a bit further south.
Well, taking a look at you, I see you might be of the priestly persuasion, eh?
From time to time. What could you tell me about that temple that was outside?
Glad that you asked. I'll make you a bit of a bargain here. If you can kill this Verbeeg and clean out the cave and bring back our stolen barrels of mead, That will certainly go a long way, of course, with your recommendation to the town to get me elected as speaker. And once I'm speaker, the first thing I will do is give you, young lady, the deed to that temple. It's been abandoned for quite a while. No one wants it. Lathander, as he left the Dale, so the people left him. You can use the temple however you like.
That sounds very generous.
Well, very generous man. How about as a bit of a token, you can use the temple for now, at least until you've killed the Verbeeg. If you need a place to stay, we don't have many accommodations here. Use it however you'd like.
And what about for us who do not pray to Lathander?
Well, I see as your friend here, you could work that out. Make it a temple to whatever you'd like. To your friend here, he points to Guardian. If you want, doesn't bother me at all.
I'm more referring to maybe a gold compensation.
Of course. Well, you see, if I'm not the speaker, then I can't exactly use the town treasury to pay you, can I? So, like I said, if you can slay those Verbeeg and give me your endorsement, I have complete confidence the town will elect me as speaker, and then I'll have the authority to provide you both the deed for the temple and perhaps a gold compensation.
I don't know how you all feel, but I would be happy to help.
I do not feel comfortable making any sort of political statement, but killing monsters, yes. Rogar is in.
I imagine it should be easier to track the Verbeeg. Thief over there. She was the one that originally stumbled on the whole scene, of course, with the speaker. She could tell you exactly where it was last seen. Can't imagine you'll get too much from the speaker, seeing that he is dead, but we're keeping his corpse in his house until we burn the body, most likely tomorrow.
Does this town have a blacksmith?
It does not. In fact, we mostly trade the young lady, a nice young lady in the town of East Haven. There is a young lady here who works with some metal in making the casks that you see to hold our mead. And he points down to Olavisa. There she is. Quite a bitter and vindictive young lady. But if you're looking for small parts, she might be able to help you.
No, I'm looking for bigger parts.
May not have that here. We're a small town after all.
Any ores?
You might find a few oars down at the docks with some of the boats. Of course, we don't do much fishing here.
That is a good call.
I, for one, have never taken much happiness being on the water. I think if the gods intended for me to be on the water, they would have given me flippers.
I think this concludes our conversation.
We'll definitely see what we can do to help you all with your problem.
Why, thank you. And remember, don't take too long. The emergency election is going to start soon. For me, in order to get you your money and, of course, the deed to the temple, I must be speaker.
Who else would be running for this position?
Well, it's, as far as I know, I'm currently unopposed. I've heard rumors that Olavisa Untapul might be putting her name into the running, but of course no one wants such a bitter and unhappy lady as herself to run this town. Someone that has their hand on the pulse of the community like myself might be better. I'm a businessman, you see. providing jobs and resources to the town. That's what I do.
Maybe you should have more of a democratic council. Multiple members agreeing to vote and gaining majority will then proceed with your said motivation.
Well, that sounds like an interesting idea. Perhaps when I'm speaker, I'll propose it to the town.
Rorgar will move over to this other table, and was this the woman you said saw the murder, or first saw the body?
No, she's all the way down here.
Oh, okay.
Her name is Fief Morin.
Rorgar is gonna head over there.
And Fief Morin is a half-elf female. She's sitting at this table. You can tell she probably spends most of her time outside in the snow. She's got heavy furs, which mostly are in a pile in one of the chairs next to her. She's also got like a bow and arrow also in this pile with all of her extra clothing, and like snowshoes with a pool of water underneath them are sitting against the table because it's obviously they were probably covered in snow that's melted. But she's also got a few cups of ale that she's been working on, and as you approach, she looks up and she says, "Oh, hello."
Hello, my name is Rorgar. I was sent over by your friend, the dwarf. He said you may have been the first one to see the body of the speaker.
Oh, you mean Shandar? Shandar's no friend of mine.
Oh. Well, I do not want to get involved in personal matters. I am more interested in this dead body.
Oh, you mean the speaker? It's a gruesome affair.
Now, did you happen to see what happened to the speaker?
I came upon him after the deed was done. Fortunately, I only saw him after he had been killed and the barrels had been stolen. But I can take you to where it was if you'd like to see. I am not much of a tracker. I mostly catch small game in the forest, but it was very easy to see the tracks from the Verbeeg.
If you could take us to the body, we have a tracker with us who could lead us the rest of the way. But did you notice anything about the scene? Are we sure that this is what killed the speaker?
I did not examine his body myself. I just noticed that he was killed. Quite a lot of blood. If not him, I don't know who could have. If not the Verbeeg, I don't know what would have killed him. The speaker was a formidable warrior himself. This was why he was guarding the casks. It's hard to imagine. Just anything would have been enough to slay him, but...
Did he normally guard these casks on his own?
No, not normally, but that is not entirely unusual for Kendrick. He often put his personal safety behind the needs of the town.
Sounds like he was a very brave man.
He was reelected as speaker 7 times.
7 times? Whoa. That is very impressive.
If you want to examine his body, it's in his house currently. We have it there until we figure out what ceremonies we'll perform. He wasn't a very religious person. No one here in Good Mead really is. So we're thinking that we should burn his body so he doesn't come back as something terrible.
Yes. Could you please point out where his house is?
And she gives you a simple directions on like where to get to it, and it's really very close to the meat hall.
Thank you. Were you close to the speaker?
Not especially. We were friends. In a town the size of Good Mead, you kind of know everyone.
Well, I am very sorry for your loss. We will find this Verbeek, and we will make sure he suffers.
Thank you. It's sad that Kendrick is dead. It's especially sad that with those barrels missing, that's the chief source of money in the town. I make my living off of catching small animals, but the way I make my living is through the gold that others bring in to the town through selling the mead. Without the mead, and you can tell by the name of our town even, we have no other way to provide for ourselves.
Well, thank you for your assistance. And then Rargar will go back to the group and fill them in on what he's been told. Maybe
What time
we'll
of day
move.
is it?
Sorry, I was just saying maybe we should move. We'll move a little bit away from where Shandar is before we continue our conversation.
Yeah.
What time of day is it, Jam?
It's still early morning, so maybe like 8 or 9 a.m.
Daylight still.
Yeah, the daylight is... You get about 3 or 4 hours of daylight, so you're probably good for another 2.5 hours.
Guardians is gonna let the group discuss what's going on. The Guardians always gonna wander off and find the woman they pointed out that does the barrel making.
The barrel making is the lady down here, Olivisa Untapor.
He'll walk back down to her, over to her. Hello, Ollie.
And she looks up, yes.
You make the barrels here.
Yes, I do.
That means you have access to raw iron ore?
Well, we buy the ore. There's no mines here, but yes.
How much to buy a few pounds?
Well, I'll be honest, I can't buy anything until I get the money back from the barrels. We don't operate with much extra capital here.
Then do you happen to have any broken down barrels that I can take the metal bands off of from? And I'll pay for those. 4 is all I need. Just the bands.
Zach looks up and he says, the 4 back here, and he points behind the bar, are almost empty. You can help yourself to them.
Thank you. How much?
Zach says, whatever you think is fair, my friend.
What is fair? I do not use currency all that often.
Olivisa says, Zach tends to be too generous. I would say those 4 casks, if you want the entire casks, even empty, those 4 barrels rather, would probably cost you for materials at least 5 gold.
For all 4?
Yes.
He'll just pull out his pouch, and he'll hand Zach 5 gold.
And Olivisa says, now it should be considerably less, but Shandar, I believe at least, is uppricing his lumber significantly, which causes the cost of everything else to have to go up as well.
Yes, he said that if we helped, that he would only be able to pay us if he became speaker.
Of course he did. He probably has the most money of anyone in Good Mead, but he's leveraging the speakerhood in order to pay you. I can't say I'm surprised.
Can I grab these barrels now?
Zach's like, yeah, sure.
Thank you. And yeah, Garden will just go and start grabbing them. He'll grab what he can, and then he'll stop for a second. Like, where is this temple of Lathander?
It's actually right across from the meat hall.
Thank you. And he'll just walk out with these barrels. And a few minutes later, he'll walk back in, grab the other ones, and walk back out. So he'll be gone forever how long they need to talk.
Okay. And as you guys make your way back to Valen, she kind of motions the two of you over, Elijah and Rogar.
Yes.
We should talk about the next steps and what I need to take on Oro. I promised you information once you got me out of jail. I feel that I should at least give you what I have. And as she motions you closer, she says, just please keep this between yourselves. I learned the hard way that sharing this information in the wrong places can create some enemies. You'll notice in East Haven, they wanted to burn me alive, so I think it's best if we don't share this with people that don't need to know, if you catch my meaning.
Of course.
She says, unfortunately, we will need to get some more information, but I'm getting ahead of myself. I came to Icewind Dale at the behest of one of my colleagues, a wizard by the name of Iterion. He had uncovered evidence of the lost Elven Kingdom. The Elven Kingdom is called Yithrin, and the town, the ancient city of Yithrin. There were very powerful magic users who had developed a spell to break or at least to block some of the powers of gods like Oro when they take in mortal form. And apparently, through historical context, we learned that Oro had visited the Dale before, and the wizards of Yithrin had managed to block her with a spell in a tome called the Codicil of the White. Now, unfortunately, Yithrin has been lost for thousands of years, somewhere in the snow. I found a map which would lead me, I believe, close to where Yithrin should be, and I cataloged it in my spellbook. Well, the problem is that moron captain in East Haven burned my spellbook. So not only have I lost a lifetime of spells, I've lost the map to Yithrin. But I have an idea. The kingdom of Yithrin, the Elvish kingdom, is perhaps ages old, but they didn't live here in isolation. The dwarves have been here quite, just as long. I believe that Battlehammer Hold was actually built on an even older dwarven kingdom, and it's very possible in the archives in Battlehammer Hold we'll find another map that will lead us to Yithrin. Now, the problem is getting to Battlehammer Hold. I don't exactly know where it is. I know it's somewhere in the Dwarven Valley. And then, of course, there are rumors that it's been overrun.
Did Shandar say he was from there?
I think he asked me if I was from that area. But we did hear the same thing about that it was completely run down and everybody was just forced out. I mean, it might be a good thing for us to head there anyway.
Yes, maybe after we defeat this giant that is afflicting this town, maybe that will be our next destination.
Guardian walks back in. Laja, he approaches you but doesn't say anything. He just opens up your backpack and starts rummaging through it.
Excuse me? Can you
Don't
help, Guardian?
looking for that hammer.
Oh, sure. I will open my bag and give him what he's asking for.
He'll stop and look at Rogar for a second, like, take off your armor. It's damaged. He'll start looking at everyone like, All of you follow me.
I would say it's more dented than damaged, but all right.
This is irritating to look at.
Oh, are you repairing that? I might be able to do that for you if you like. You just need to let me know.
And we're already setting up the equipment in the temple.
What's Virian up to?
Virian's just hanging out by the fire, having his mead with this old man and Shandar.
Virian's
Are you
living
sitting
his
there? And is it awkward for them but not you?
Yes, exactly.
They don't really seem to care that Virian's there, and I'll say, Virian, that while you're sitting there, they sort of they're making lots of jokes, and the mood in the rest of the mead hall is sadness. But Shandar and his buddies are kind of joking and drinking it up. Every drink they can get their hands on, really just kind of having a good time.
Rorgar will say, maybe we should go to this temple, let Guardian do his work, get a little rest. Then we should see the body of the speaker and see if we can ascertain if it was truly this giant that killed him.
I'm good with that plan. I would rather us get a little bit of rest before we head out again to fight something, but I'm sure that will be a good enough place to stay.
Velen, you're welcome to come and stay with us if you'd like.
Valen says, yes, even though I don't have much time for temples, a roof over my head, apart from a jail cell, would be a nice change.
And then Rorgar will yell to Virian, we'll just be across the street at the temple.
All right, sounds good.
Garant is going to look at Varian like, you, come.
Virian will finish his drink and any other drinks that are on the table and awkwardly crotch to face walk across Shandar. Sorry, just got to get by you here. Oh, thanks for the bottoms of the drink. All right, coming, Guardian.
And as you're walking away, Shandar says to you, Virian, oh, friend, that's a nice sword. Would you be willing to part with it?
No, thanks. Gotta go, though. Nice talking to you. You seem like a cool guy.
And he turns to his friends and he says, ugh, that is a nice sword.
I don't know if that guy was talking about my sword or my piece, but
Yeah,
We'll never know.
we got to get out of here.
One is for killing, one is for fun.
Yes, this is my rifle. This is my gun.
Moving to the temple. So this fallen temple of Lathander, more abandoned temple to Lathander, is very small. It was probably more of like a chapel and not really a church. But like I said, much of the windows are broken out. Some of the windows are boarded up. No lights are on or anything, and you can tell the few blocks are missing here and there. Like it was probably built out of stone, and most of the other structures in the town are built out of wood. But some of the stones are missing. Like maybe some people have taken some stones to repair chimneys or something. But this temple is certainly not being used for anything.
Guardian has definitely taken some stones to make a few things.
But as you all approach it, the door is ajar actually, and you can tell that there's little footprints in the snow leading up to the door. They don't look very new, like kind of old, so probably like rats or something have moved in also to find some shelter. But Laja, as you walk up to the door, you are overwhelmed with a sense of just sadness that this place that should be something that you're very excited to come to has been sort of abandoned.
I will open the door since it's a little bit ajar and just sort of walk in and take a look at the space.
And the large door, which was obviously built, crafted very well, it's a large oaken door and it has lots of carvings of other lizards and dinosaurs and stuff. It's a substantial door. When you push it open, there's a loud creaking, groaning noise as it opens on like rusty hinges. But you see inside the temple, it's a very typical layout for a temple of Lathander in that it's built to try to capture as much light as possible. Like there would be stained glass windows, which are pretty much missing now, but there would be stained glass windows in this dome that's the center shape of the temple to try to capture and bring in as much light and as much different colors, which is sort of the whole idea of Lathander. But with those missing now and with really not much sunlight, it's just mostly dark. But you see several pillars in the center, which are also very typical to temples of Lathander, that would hold candles or torches or something to also bring in light when it's night or something. But those have all burnt out or removed. There's nothing there. In the center, there's an emblem of that star that you would have on like a holy symbol or something, and then also a flame pit sort of in the center. Like if you were doing something holy, you'd start a fire to also bring out the whole motif of Lathander and light and all that. But it's also much not used, and the thing in the center where you'd build the fire is rusted over and cracked and stuff.
I'll go in, leave the door open for everybody else, and sort of make my way to the center. And then once I'm at the center, I will take out of my bag. I have a tinder box, so I can at least set something up there to make some sort of fire in the middle. And then that'll hopefully bring some more light to the room.
And when you make a fire, you've noticed that it lights very easily, in fact, in this like pit where you can build a fire. But immediately when you light it and the flame takes off, the light begins to reflect off of that holy symbol on the ground. It's not exactly gold, but it's kind of colored gold. And the snow didn't actually ever form a layer or anything around it, so that as you light the fire, it's still gleaming like golden off of the floor, and then it actually kind of reflects off the light. So you can tell this temple was probably built with some kind of understanding about how the light would actually make it look pretty nice in here if it were actually lit correctly. And this is just like one step to make that happen. But again, it's kind of sad because it's an abandoned temple and the elements have kind of abused it significantly.
Ah, Dawnbringer, you are already bringing light to this darkened place.
I mean, if we are going to spend time in here, then we should at least clean it up a little bit, right? There should be some rooms towards the back if you all want to relax for a bit.
We do a montage like in Revenge of the Nerds where we clean up the place.
Sure.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Amazing.
Before that starts, though, Guardian walks up to Rogar and just like immediately starts pulling at your plate, like off now.
One moment. And Rogar will go close to the center of the room, and just to make sure, I'd like to use Divine Sense, just to make sure.
Yeah, you don't detect anything.
Perfect.
Guardian will also grab an arrow from Virion without asking and look at the arrowhead.
Oh, yep. Just that's fine.
Does Virion wear any like metal stuff or anything like that?
I believe Virion is just in leather armor.
Okay.
Yes. Sorry.
He'll just grab the arrow though and look at the arrowhead. Is it metal or is it wood?
I believe these would be like stone arrowheads.
Okay.
See something you like, Guardian?
No.
Oh.
He'll just keep the arrow with him though.
Damn souvenir hunters.
And after a moment, he'll walk up to Elijah with a lid from one of the barrels, and he'll just like hold it up against you. Like,
Do you need some help with something?
Determining how big this should be for you.
For what?
A shield.
Oh, that's very nice.
I'll just layer it. Just go back outside.
Valen kind of
And-
walks around and she looks at the structure and she says, what a waste. This building could be used for so many things. It's a shame that its structure is just here to rot.
I don't know if I intend to stay here if they give us the deed, but I figured I could at least leave it in a nice state. Then they can decide what to do with it going forward.
Strange that we might end up owning property all over these 10 towns.
I guess since they don't have much to offer in terms of wealth, that maybe land is a little bit cheaper for them.
Well, I think with some work, I believe this could be a beautiful temple.
We could probably pitch a renovating show to HGTV, Hobgoblin and Goblin Television.
Well done.
Are we intending to take a long rest here?
That's
Hopefully,
entirely up to
I
you
don't
guys.
have anything. I have nothing left except my HP.
Yeah, same with me.
Yeah, long
I
rest
figured
would
we'd
put you
take a-
guys here for most of the day because it's the morning, so you would be finished like around evening.
Yeah, I figured we'd do a long rest at night, then get all the searching done before that.
Sure.
That's
We can see if there's anything we need to look for in town in the meantime, I guess.
Valen walks over to this area, which is like the smaller chapel area, and inside this area, there's a small door that opens. You see a few benches, which have they're made of wood that have kind of rotted out, and there's a statue of Lathander also, which is pretty much rotted away or crumbled through exposure to the elements. But she goes over to one of the benches and she sits down and she sits down slowly, kind of painfully, and she says, "If you don't mind, I will wait here with Ollie. I don't think me running around the town is going to do anyone much good."
Of course. Rest up. If there's anything we can get you, just let me know.
But yeah, what's folks gonna go? What are you guys gonna go do?
I think we head to the house with the body.
The speaker's house?
Yeah, I think.
So go ahead.
Yeah, I think that's where we should go.
Guardian's gonna be remaining at the temple as he starts using his knee to bang out the dents in Rogar's armor. He puts the chest piece on fire every now and then to heat it up, and then puts it on his leg and then starts hammering it out.
So that's gonna be Laja, Rorgar, and Virian, I guess, headed to the speaker's house.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very small town. You get there very quickly and easily, and the door to the speaker's house is actually not locked when you walk in. It's a small house with several bedrooms, in fact, but it's one level, just like the rest of the buildings. But when you walk in, very easily you see the first room off to your right. The door is open. It's a bedroom, and you see the corpse of the speaker lying on his bed. And it appears as though they have put him in some kind of, like burial gown and, wiped off his wounds and stuff. So it's not like soaking the bed or anything, but he is laying there with his hands crossed.
Can we see any of his wounds, or will we have to start undressing him to do that?
But you can go over and reasonably inspect his wounds.
Virian is already undressing him.
Of course he is. Yes, I did change your sheet again, Laja. Laja, I imagine you're probably going to be the one doing this. If you can give me a medicine check, please.
Sure thing.
Oh, wow, 17. So you can tell that the thing that killed the speaker, he was stabbed multiple times with a small bladed weapon, most likely a dagger.
Well, this doesn't look like a normal sort of creature attack. It looks like he was attacked with the weapon.
Wait, so it is possible that nice dwarven man was lying to us?
Maybe, or maybe the person who found him just doesn't know any better.
Can we tell if his house here has been like ransacked or swept through by someone?
It doesn't look like it. And actually, everything looks pretty much in order. So this room you're in is apparently his bedroom. There is a small desk with no drawers or anything off to the corner that has a stack of weapons. And it looks as though those have been arranged on there sort of methodically. And there's a variety of daggers, there's a bow, there's a sword. But you did remember from what you were told in the mead hall that Kendrick was obviously a warrior, and like him guarding the barrels wasn't entirely unusual. Like he could actually fend for himself. So these are probably his weapons that someone put on the table.
I'll take a closer look at the weapons to see if there's anything interesting about them.
They look well kept. You can tell Rogar, if someone doesn't take care of their knife or sword or something, they can easily get, blunted or rusted. But looks like Kendrick probably did a good job of keeping his weapons sharp and maintained. And then also the bow that he's got looks also very polished and clean. Like it's something that you would use reliably without, worrying about it breaking.
Okay. I think I then will move to his office and see if there's anything in there that might just look through his papers, things like that.
So as you move into his main office, you see there's a desk with some drawers on it. There's actually a number of papers on this desk. There's also a bookcase off to the side. As you look directly on the desk, that's the top of the desk, you see what looks like a book, and it's probably a treasury, like a ledger of the town treasury.
I don't think Rogar would think to look in that. Okay.
That's what you see at a cursory glance. The other things in this room, he does have another bed in this room, a smaller bed. But yeah, mostly bookshelves. The only other furniture besides the bed are the bookshelves, and then the main desk here that has drawers on it, and that's about it.
Does the bed look well used?
The bed does look used, yeah. Not recently, but the bed sheets are made, but it looks like it's like the mattress is probably a straw mattress that looks like a little sunk down, like perhaps it had been used before.
Nice.
I don't think anything that would stand out to Rogar, so I think I'm done in the room. If anyone else wants to look, though.
I want to see if any of the weapons look like they would be the right, size and shape to make these cuts.
There is a dagger that you see, but the shape of the blade doesn't match the shape of his cuts. Elijah, actually, as you're looking at Kendrick, you realize that he does faintly resemble Issa. And that's not to say all humans look alike. It's just there's parts of his face and like his hair coloring that remind you of Issa.
I don't think any of the weapons here necessarily killed him. So, I mean, if we find somebody who seems suspicious, we can take a look at their daggers and see if maybe it would match up.
Yes, he seemed to have some books with numbers on them. I didn't look. He may have had someone living with him. but I'm not sure. I guess just to through all the rooms, I'll go over to this what looks like his bedroom.
His main bedroom, again, there's really not much there. There's just more bookcases. There is a desk here that's next to his bed that also has just one drawer, but the rest of the desk is pretty much the top of it's cleaned.
Can I search the desk?
When you go to pull the drawer's locked.
I'll return. Yeah, he has a desk in the other room. It appears locked.
That's probably where he keeps important documents then. I imagine the speaker would have, some important things like land deeds, maybe. The treasury. I don't know where that would be kept.
It is a shame that I don't know how to open this lock. Could be interesting to look at. And then Rogar will leave the room whistling and go into the other room.
Rorgar, can you show me where this lock is?
And he'll point it out. But then he'll turn around and not watch.
So Rogar, the room you're in now basically is like the washroom. There's a bath. There's also like a chamber pot.
Oh, it was this desk over here.
Oh, that one.
Virian, the desk that you walked over to at first, though, was the one that had the ledger on it. The one in the other room was the one with the locked drawer.
Okay. Virian's gonna go to the one with the locked drawer and kind of gauge if he can attempt to pick its lock.
Do you have lockpicking tools?
Ooh, I feel like I do. No, apparently I don't. Never mind then.
Well, you could pick the lock. You could try to pick the lock if you had lockpicking tools, but there's also the time-honored tradition of being able to pick a lock, and that's breaking the lock. It's a wooden drawer. You could, with enough force, break it open.
I do have a crowbar and a hammer.
You were equipped for this then.
I'm gonna try and crowbar and hammer it.
Just give me, it sounds like a strength check.
Okay.
I'll say an advantage because you have a crowbar. I mean, you have a friggin' crowbar. Yeah, with 17, you put your back into it, the drawer just cracks off at the side of the desk, fracturing the wood and everything. But falling out of the drawer is a book that looks like some sort of manifest, and there's a piece of paper, a separate piece of paper, that on it is drawn the symbol of a snake with wings. And you recognize that exactly. You've seen that symbol before. That's the symbol of the Zentarum.
The Zentarum. I'm gonna call over Rorgar and Laja. Hey everybody, I found something that y'all might want to see. And I'll show them the piece of paper with the symbol on it.
So the Zentarum are a part of the Forgotten Realms. They're basically a black network of merchants. They typically are thieves, spies, assassins, and things like that. Typically using criminal enterprises in order to get a foothold in places. You, specifically Varian, tied in with that secret that you have seen and are very familiar with this symbol and what these guys are about.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you all know how extensive this is, but this is basically a group of people that are trying to control trading throughout the 10 towns here, and it's bad.
But that book that was also in the drawer, when you take a look at it, it appears as though it's sort of a log that Kendrick was keeping, and he was keeping a track of the lumber that was being sold by Shandar and the cost not only of Shandar getting, cutting down the lumber and, producing it and everything, and then also selling it. And he's keeping close tracks of how much Shandar was selling the lumber for. And on the margin, he's writing something about where is the money going, which makes you think that he might have drawn a conclusion that Shandar the money that he was bringing in didn't actually match the money he should be bringing in. So there's some kind of discrepancy there. and it looked like he might be shaving off some of that money to someone in Targos. Like he's actually drawn like a map in the back about shipments and stuff going to Targos.
Maybe we should hold on to this book.
I think that's a good idea.
Do we think the other ledger might have anything to do with this?
I guess it couldn't hurt to compare them.
I'll go over and I will take a look at the ledger.
So the ledger is just a history, or at least a record of the town treasury, and you can see starting really around the time you've heard that the curse of the frost maid had started, Good Mead has been steadily losing money, which is not surprising. He's written in a few places about he's keeping a track of how many bees have survived each month, each new moon where they've had to sacrifice their warmth, and how many bees have died, and that tracks with how much money they're losing. And he also has a diagram of like the city's costs of like buying lumber, buying ore in order to create to build barrels and stuff. And you can see his conclusion is that unless the city changes something, unless the town gets some sort of change, that the treasury will be completely empty within like 2 months.
It looks like they were right. This is really dire. I don't know how they will end up surviving this.
Torm and Bahamut will smile upon them soon. I'm sure of it. That's why we are here.
I guess we can help. But I don't know what to do other than to hopefully not worry them. I'm sure if they knew that they were going to run out of money in 2 months, that there would be a lot of panic in this town.
Well, maybe we could turn over this book of Shendar's illegal doings to someone who might actually know what to do with it. I do think we still have to deal with this for Big, whether it committed this crime or not.
I think so too. But it might not have been this creature which killed the speaker, in which case we'd just be playing into whoever decided to kill him to get power, whatever they want.
Yes, maybe we talk to the owner of the bar again.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Should we go there first, or would you like to look at the scene of the crime?
I think if we head out to where this happened, we might end up following this creature. So I think we should maybe speak first and then rest and then head out there in the morning.
Agreed, let's go.
I take it everyone is going back to the meat hall.
Yep.
Guardian, are you going to meet them there, or are you going to stay at the temple?
He's working at a temple.
Okay. All right, so moving us back to the meat hall.
How long were they gone, roughly?
What do you guys think? Maybe 30 minutes, an hour?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Rogar, on your way back, since it's across the meat hall, you see your chest piece is just sitting leaned against the wall next to the little fire he has going. It looks like he's done with it.
Rogar will leave that for now. I don't expect to be. He doesn't expect to be in any trouble in here. So I believe we're just gonna go straight up to the bar.
Except for Virion, who might be going back to his boyfriend.
Got to see what's going on over here. Can never leave love on the table.
Let's start with Laja and Rorgar first. As you make your way to the bar, Zach is still cleaning other cups and things, and he looks up. He says, welcome back, friends. Care to buy a drink?
Actually, I have no gold on me. I cannot
I'll
afford.
get 2.
Oh,
And he pours the two of you some of the mead, and he says, enjoy them while you can. This might be some of our last batch.
is there anywhere more private where we could have a conversation with you?
Sure. If you're seeking privacy, he motions over to the bees. This is probably the safest place in the meat hall.
I guess we go back there.
And he walks you over to this area. You have to lean in very closely because at this point, so close to the bees, even though there aren't that many of them, you just hear the buzzing of bees.
Well, first off, I would like to say sorry, and my condolences for the loss of your speaker, who seemed to be quite a capable individual.
Thank you. He was very important to the people here.
We went over to his house and to look at the body to make sure Shandar's story checked out. And while there, we found a document that the speaker had been keeping. And can I show him the book?
Yeah, sure.
So I show him the book, and yeah.
Zach takes a look at it and he says, I'm not exactly sure what I'm looking at here.
It appears he was skimming money and sending it away while steadily raising the prices of wood. It appears the speaker was convinced that your friend Shandar here was in with a group of criminals.
Well, that's not too surprising. Shandar has kind of a reputation for dishonesty. But it's not exactly illegal. As much as I find it distasteful, Shandar can do what he wants with his own prices.
We also know that the speaker was not killed by the weapon of a giant.
Do you know who killed him?
We do not know who, but we know that it was not that giant that Shandar has asked us to kill.
And Zach says, well, there's an emergency election tomorrow for the next speaker. This town can't go without a leader. We just have too many issues. And the problem is right now, we only have Shandar as a candidate, so he will win by default unless something changes. We need a candidate to run against him. And he looks at you, Rogar, and I was thinking you would be that perfect candidate.
I do not live here. I believe most places would want their speaker to actually live in town.
Well, if you were elected, you would by default get possession of the speaker's house, so you could become a resident.
Would I have to stay here? I do not really spend the rest of my days in the Icewind Dale.
You would be the speaker. You would have to work that out yourself.
Have you ever thought of running for this position?
Me? Oh, no, I'm no politician at all. The meat hall is the end of my ambition.
Do you think there might be some other good candidate?
And he looks to you, Elijah. Or what about you? You're a priestess, right? You could bring the temple back and also be the town speaker.
I'm more thinking of the big picture in Icewind Dale. I don't know if I could necessarily settle down in one place.
And he sighs. He says, listen, the problem with Good Mead is most of the people here are pretty happy with their lives. Even though conditions have gotten worse, most folks just want to keep on doing what they're doing. Kendrick was that mix of honest and ambition that was perfect for this town. It's just so rare to find.
No one else who would be a suitable candidate?
There must be somebody who's at least passable rather than actively harmful to the community.
And he looks across the bar at Olavisa. Is Olavisa, she could do it, but you'll never convince her.
Well, it is worth a shot. And I
And
guess Rogar will go
not
over
to
to
mention, before you try to convince her, remember there's an election. If you were trying to get Olavisa to run against Shander, I can't guarantee that she would even win. She's not the most charismatic member of the town. Now, you, on the other hand, being heroes, I can't see that it would be very difficult at all compared against someone like Shander for you to win.
What if we were to give a
Endorsement? That's
yeah,
what Shandar wants from us anyway.
that is the word I was looking for.
That would probably go a long way. If you were able to return the barrels, that would be a tremendous boon, and your word would certainly go a long way with most folks.
I guess we need to have a conversation with your friend.
And he says, just think about it, though. Good Mead is not the worst place to call home.
Yes, but if I was going to live anywhere here, it'd be the place where I actually own an inn.
Well, sorry, the meat hall is not for sale currently.
A lot of places have been paying us in land, it seems.
Well, we don't have much else to give folks at this point.
Well, we're just happy to help, so we will figure out this mystery for you all, and hopefully you're able to find a good next speaker, a good replacement, I suppose.
Thank you, and as I said before, if you can return the barrels, that will certainly help the town tremendously and increase your reputation here significantly if you were to change your mind in any way.
We'll definitely do our best to find it.
So I guess we go and try to talk to Olavisa.
And as you guys walk around the bar to Olavisa, she's actually just reading a book. He's sitting there at the bar reading a book.
Ah, is it a good book?
Just, it's a romance novel.
Ah, that sounds exciting.
It's called Romance in the Dale. It's a love story about a tragic tale of two lovers trying to find their way in the Tin Towns.
Well, we just had a conversation with your friend over there, and have you thought about running to be next speaker of this town?
And she laughs. That would be a terrible idea.
And why would that be?
Well, even if I wanted the job, which I don't, the people here would never elect me. I'm not exactly a likable person.
You might be more likable than the alternative.
Well, if you mean Shandar, sure. He's about as likable as a rabid polar bear, but he does have connections with people in the town, at least more than I do.
The way that we
What if
heard
we
it,
were,
Shandar was kind of relying on this adventuring party's endorsement to win. He's not even sure he'll actually get the position.
That's interesting. But from what I know of Shandar, he likes to hedge his bets. He probably wants your endorsement just to be certain that no one else would run against him.
what if we gave our endorsement to you and the barrels that are missing?
Well, the barrels would certainly help the town significantly. An endorsement would help someone get elected for sure, but I don't think I'm the person for that job.
Why does no one want this job?
And she says, to be honest, the perfect person would be one of you.
I don't know that we're going to be hanging around in one place for too long. We've sort of been doing jobs and going from town to town, trying to help as many people as possible. I wouldn't want to just abandon this town after getting elected speaker.
Going around from town to town trying to help people is almost exactly the role of the speaker. The council of speakers meets once a month, and that's exactly what they try to do, is to help all the 10 towns together collectively. A large part of Kendrick's time was spent away from Good Mead trying to negotiate prices and shipments to further help the town.
I feel like if an outsider comes in and suddenly takes over control of this entire place, that people might not be happy about it. I think they'll be more comfortable with somebody they know. Whether or not they like them, they'll at least know what to expect.
Perhaps, but Shandar himself is an outsider. He's from Battlehammer Hold. He is not a native of Good Mead.
Then all the more reason to find somebody from this town to lead you all.
Listen, if you can get the barrels back, then maybe we can talk about endorsements and who can be speaker then.
I think that's fair enough.
Honestly, there's no other way that a speaker will get elected other than Shandar without those barrels.
We were already planning on going out and trying to find them. So, yeah, I'm happy to bring them back straight here once we are able to find them.
And she says, I'm interested in the deal that Shandar made with you, because from what I know of him, there is no deal, there's no offer that he ever makes that doesn't benefit him in some way.
The only thing he offered us was the temple across the way. If he were to win, and only if he were to win. So it's probably something he would be getting out of becoming speaker that is worth much more than a piece of abandoned land.
He would probably raise taxes for the building once it were occupied. As an abandoned building, there's no financial responsibility for it, but if he were to own it, at least claim the deed to it, he could draw taxes. So that could be his angle.
Maybe, or maybe he's just interested in the power of being speaker.
That is most definitely the case. But I doubt he was doing that out of the goodness of his heart to help you or the people of the town.
I don't think so either.
I'm also not certain about the way that Kendrick died. Now, it's not entirely out of the realm of possibility for Kendrick to protect the shipment himself. He was a very formidable fighter, but for him to be killed so quickly seems so strange to me. And to be out there by himself, It just doesn't seem. It seems quite unusual.
I have the feeling if we are going after these barrels, we'll probably end up finding whoever did this to him.
If you find them, what are your plans?
I mean, if I got to decide, probably bring them back and the town can pass justice however they see fit.
Justice and Good Mead is passed by the speaker. So
Well,
if
then we'll have to see who we can help get to be the next speaker.
if Shandar had something to do with this, if he's elected speaker, he can just let them go.
We'll probably, live in the moment. Maybe we crack some heads. Maybe we bring them back. Maybe my friend Guardian crushes their skulls. We'll see how it plays out.
And this Verbeeg creature, when you find it, you would be doing the town a favor if you were to eradicate it. I can't see how anything like that living close to this town can be good for us on the long term, especially not with the new moon coming.
Well, if there's
Yes,
something that we can take care of, it's certainly getting rid of a monster.
She looks up at you and she says, "That's I can see that you are very capable of handling yourselves."
Well, we will get out there and hopefully when we return, we will know much, much more, and have your barrels of mead.
Yes, I hope you can return it. As I've said before, it's very important to the town to get that mead. It may seem simple, but all of the town contributes in some way to the manufacture of that mead, and we all benefit in some way from its sale. Even at a reduced price, we could manage, but having it stolen is a significant drain on our already diminished resources.
I think Rogar will get up and say goodbye and start walking towards the exit.
But as all this has been happening, let's maybe move up to Virian and Shandar. Virian, as you've returned, Shandar looks up. Ah, welcome back, my friend.
Hey, how's it going, Shandar?
So I noticed you came back here with your dwarven friend. What's her name again?
That's Laja.
Ah, very nice beard on her. I was wondering if you could, tell me, give me some advice in courting her.
Well, she likes to be talked down to, for sure. You know, hard to get kind of thing. I believe they call it negging.
Quite familiar with this, yes?
Yeah, so I think that's your best bet if you really want to impress her.
All right, go on, go on. What would you say is her, worst attribute that I might leverage?
Her worst attribute, I would think that when you toss her, it doesn't work out well all the time.
Oh, indeed. That's quite exciting. I'll bring that up that I should toss her around.
Yep.
Very good, very good. What is she looking for in a dwarven mate?
Oh, Shandar, that's a great question. I guess just wow. I don't even know how to put it. Your guess might be as good as mine.
Well, I'm about to become speaker of a town. Certainly that would be of interest to a young lass like her.
Yeah, I believe that would be interesting for some. but maybe it's too noble of a profession for her. You know, she's a wild adventurer. Maybe someone a little more apt to taking risks, not so much the speaker of a town.
Well,
So maybe you might want to reconsider that.
I could tell about how I escaped Battlehammer Hold. I fought my way out across endless fields of automatons, killing all of my people. Surely that story would be quite impressive to her.
That's a good start, but I think, you know, she'd be more interested in someone who, you know, has some sort of secret that they're trying to hide, you know, like I don't know, maybe part of some sort of underground network of I don't know, thieves or something. You know, something spicy like that. That would really make her day.
And he straightens up a little bit, and his smile kind of diminishes a little bit. I don't know what you're talking about. Are you trying to accuse me of something?
I'm not saying that's you. I'm just saying if that were something that you were a part of, that might be something that she would be interested in, because those are the types of people that you know, yeah, the bad boys. You know what I'm trying to say here.
Oh, I see. Huh. Well,
Do you fancy yourself a bit of a bad boy, Shandar?
well, I think I am a powerful man with, powerful friends. Perhaps she might be interested in that.
All power's one thing, but it's the secrets and lies that really, you know, get the engines going.
I could tell her the secret of my rubber ducky.
That I would also like to know this.
Well, that might just have to be between me and the new speaker's wife, as it were.
Oh, okay. I'll get it secondhand.
Of course. And when you're out there, if you wouldn't mind passing her, a little bit of information about your good friend Shandar, let her know that, it would perhaps be in her benefit to find her way over to my side, The speaker's house is quite nice, if you know what I mean.
Is it? I have no idea what it's like inside, or anything that's in the drawers or anything like that. But that's good to know. You know what? I should go put in that good word for you right now. How about
Thank
that?
You should. And the speaker's house, while it's quite large, there would be a lot for her to clean, of course, but eventually she'd get used to it.
Yeah, and I think she's on board for that for sure. So let me just scrooch by you real quick, and Virion will do the crotch to the face squeeze by again in front of Shandar, and head over to Laja and Rorgar.
And as you're walking away, you can hear him. He's talking to one of his friends. He's like, I'm come over here, George. I need to practice my, what did he call it? My negging. All right, so where are you guys headed next?
I guess we it's time to rest up, right? We don't want to go into the site of the crime and get attacked there.
So back to the temple, I guess.
Unless everyone else disagrees.
What time of day is it?
Oh Lord.
'Cause it was
I
9
will say
when we first went over to the temple.
Probably 12 or 1 o'clock.
Okay. Well, Gary don't rest until later in the night, like a normal person. He has a lot of work he's doing right now.
Okay. All right, so I'm gonna jump everybody back to the temple here.
Yeah, it's important to remember we didn't have sleep last night, right? Because all that stuff in East Haven.
That's true.
Well, we woke up late, so it was, we went to bed and woke up at midnight or something like that.
Early in the morning.
So, yeah.
You guys also need to use a
hours.
meal, eat off a meal, because I don't think you've eaten for a while.
Except for me. Woohoo! Yeah, if it's been a couple of hours as I'm wandering around, Rogar, your armor's all dent free now. And you do notice that it was on your chest piece, right? The symbol of Bahamut.
It's on several different pieces of his armor.
Well, they've all been cleaned.
Guardian, thank you very much.
He just looks at you for a second, and then goes back to work on the hammer that Mimsy gave Laja. What did I do for that gem? Because that was broken.
I think it was fine. It was just not the nicest, most expensive weapon that Lasha could pick up.
Oh, I thought
Painfully average, I would say.
Painfully
I
average.
was
There you go.
told it was broken. Then what about making a shield? Just taking the barrel lids, using the melting down and reforging the iron bands into strips, and then using that to kind of like layer some of the wood over.
You know,
Make
let
it a
me
little bit bigger.
find those rules that we were talking about before, because I think the only thing you'd have to worry about here crafting that shield for her would just be how much time you need. Like how much time it would take. I don't think it would be something you could get done fairly quickly, but let me...
For a shield, 2 days.
2 days?
Yeah.
That sounds good. Yeah, I think you certainly have the materials, you just would need to put the time in.
Mm. As you guys get back there, Garden's just working away.
So you probably have about half a day on it by the time they get back.
Okay. He just looks at everyone and is like, was it fun?
I don't know if fun is the right word, but Laja, I did find out that our good friend is interested in courting you, and I may have given him some false information to, gauge his reaction. I told him that you were into, bad boys, and that you liked being tossed around, and that you would enjoy cleaning the speaker's house when you became his wife. But I also told him that you're into people who have dark secrets, maybe that they're spies or thieves. And he really got a little uptight about that when I told him, like I was implying something, like he may have something to hide, which we kind of suspected a little bit. So I don't know how you want to play that, but just a heads up.
Well, I'm certainly glad you told me. I suppose that is a problem for us to deal with later. And you can actively see like gears turning in Laja's head. Just like,
He
and
does have
he's
a lot
not going to go forward with that.
He seems like an okay guy if you can get past his, robbing the 10 towns blind with his wood prices.
I mean, I'm more concerned that as soon as the speaker died, he put himself up to fill the gap in power, and the speaker may have not have thought of him in the best light. He seems kind of suspicious.
It definitely seems like the speaker had concerns about what was happening, and maybe because of those concerns, Shandar put him down, which I guess if you press that might put a target on your back. And for that, I'm sorry.
I will deal with this when it comes up. For now, I suppose we should take some time to rest before we head out to look at the scene of the crime, unless we want to go ahead of time. But I know some of us aren't feeling too hot, so maybe we should wait.
Yeah, Rorgar's completely spent.
While you guys were talking, Gardner went back to forging. He's just muttering softly to himself. He's working on a piece of hot iron. He's hammering it out. He just looks up for a second and says, Liliana, get the cutter. And he'll like sit there for a second and he'll wait and look around, shake his head, and then go back to hammering the hot iron.
And Valen walks out of the small chapel part of the temple, and she walks over to the two of you standing there, and she says, forgive me, I overheard you, but you mentioned the dwarf Shandar. Did he, by chance, say where he's from?
From Battlehammer Hold.
Exactly the place that we need to go to. Laja, since he seems to have taken an interest in you, is there any way you could perhaps use his fondness for you as a way to get the directions to Battlehammer Hold?
I think it might be possible. He wanted to, I think he offered to tell me the story of how he escaped, so maybe with this map we have, I could see if he will tell me where that was as part of, his storytelling.
I think while the troubles of this town are, of course, sad and unfortunate, they're not exactly our concern. If we could get what we need from this man, even if it got him elected as speaker, that would further help the 10 towns entirely. What I mean is, if he has information that would lead us to Battlehammer Hold, but we alienate him by helping one of his rivals, that would actually hurt our long-term goals.
Wouldn't it also hurt the village in their long term?
But how can this town survive under the curse of the Frost Maiden?
And how will it survive under an asshole?
I think there might be a way where we could get both things done. Perhaps I could spend some more time at the tavern and see if he might not give me that information, presuming that, we will be assisting him by figuring out this issue. And it just so happens that we would not mention that we might prefer a different candidate to be elected. I
Indeed,
think
if you
we can
think
make it
so.
work.
I just thought that I should bring up that if we can't stop the Frost Maiden, it doesn't really matter who's the speaker of this town.
Why
True,
not
but
accomplish both?
I'll see what I can do.
The analogy is playing cards on a sinking ship. It doesn't matter if you win the card game if the boat is sinking.
Doesn't matter
Well,
to
except
me.
that
I can breathe
it matters-
underwater. Or lack of breathing.
Rogar, you were saying?
Well, it certainly matters to you if you're playing the game.
Yes. I just want you all to keep the bigger picture in mind.
There is no bigger picture without the little pictures.
The dwarves of Battlehammerhold are the survivors are few and far between. While we don't necessarily need this dwarf to tell us how to get there, if he knows, the sooner that we can explore the Dwarven Kingdom to find the location of Yithrin, the closer we can be to getting the spell that we need to defeat the Frost Maiden.
Survivors of what? Some Frost Maiden wrath?
She says, surely you're joking. Do you look around? Have you noticed the towns that you've been to, how desperate things have gotten? That will only get worse. If you remember, as I said, Orwell is powered by the misfortune and suffering of the people of the 10 towns. It will only empower her the longer this goes on.
I don't think that's the answer to my question at all. What did they survive from? These
do you mean
Battlehammer.
All the dwarves. I don't know much about the dwarven legends. You would have to ask someone who was there. All I know is some sort of calamity befell them and they had to flee.
This is tiresome. I am just going to get answers myself. And Guardian will just get up, put his hammer down, and head to the inn.
I'm gonna follow right behind Guardian.
I guess Rorgar will go just in case something happens.
Yeah, Virion will tag along too.
All right.
I'm just going to be clear. It's his blacksmithing hammer he put down, not his maul.
Okay.
That's still on him. Rogar, did you put your armor back on?
Yes.
Okay, good. What were they called again, Laja? Doomhammer?
What do you mean?
That was hold for the dwarves. What was it called again?
Battlehammerhold?
Who said that? Because Guardian's asking. He's just...
Okay. I didn't know if you could remember.
Okay. Yeah. He came from Battlehammerhold. Are you sure you wouldn't want me to ask?
I'm just irritated by the lack of answers and the dance that everyone seems to be doing. We need answers now. Why not just ask them immediately instead of dragging this on? Guardian's just gonna walk over to the middle. Battle Hammer Hold. Who knows about it?
Several of the patrons kind of turn and look at you because it's still pretty quiet here in the meat hall. But yeah, no one speaks up.
No one? Really? Apparently it's some weird tale. Something big happened there.
After staying there a moment, Zach walks up to you from behind the bar and he says, my friend, you seem to be distressed. Could I interest you in perhaps some breakfast?
Well, one, it's noon and after, so that's weird. You would offer that.
Well, I don't have much of a variety of food to offer you. I could make you eggs and you could call it something else if you'd like.
I don't eat. I'm trying to get answers for a location of a place called Battlehammer Hold. I'll pay for information. And he'll just hold up his coin bag, which is 29 gold.
When you hold up your coin bag, you get a lot of looks in the room. One of the guys over at the table here, let's say this guy, he says, sir, I might know the way to your Battlehammer Hold.
just gonna walk up towards him. Get very close and lean down.
He says, excuse me, sir, if you wouldn't mind backing off. Your breath is quite foul.
I don't breathe.
You smell a bit like sewage.
That's strange. But that's not necessary for the information I need. Location.
He says,
Can you show it on a map?
Yes, I can. But of course, once I tell you, you'll just run off. The information will cost you, and he licks his lips, let's say 5 gold.
How about this? I give you 2 gold. You put it on the map, we verify it, and when we come back, you get the rest.
That sounds good to me. Show me your map.
But if it's false, I'll find you.
Why don't you roll an intimidation check for me, Guardian? Because that kind of sounds the direction you're going.
Yeah, sure. Advantage? Disadvantage?
I don't think so. Just normal
Okay.
roll.
Yeah, 11. Oh wait, I got an inspiration. Huzzah! Poop. 18.
With an 18, he looks at you and he says, well, it's possible the battle hammer hold that I know of is not the one that you're looking for. I'd hate to send you off on the wrong path if it's a dangerous place. The battle hammer hold I'm thinking of is what we used to call my cousin's house. Yes, over near Bremen. Probably not what you're looking for.
No. It's a dwarven location.
But for 1 gold, I could tell you who might know.
Just gonna look at him for a second, and he was like, how about this? You point them out, and if they tell me, I'll toss you the gold.
He sighs. Why, how about this? For 5 silver, I will tell you.
I'm just gonna lean a little closer. And just not say anything.
The rumors are is that Shandar is from Battle Hammerhold. That's all I know.
Thank you. And I'll give him a gold.
And he looks at it, he does the thing where he bites it, and you notice as he bites the gold to test that it's real, he's only got a few teeth.
Walk around him. Pushing chairs around as I'm making my way over.
And as you make your way over to Shandar, you hear he's talking to one of his friends, and he says, "Oh, now I couldn't help but notice your beard makes you look like a dirty, ugly male dwarf." And they all laugh. "How's that?"
You need better insults.
And Shandar turns to you and he says, "Oh, hello."
Battle Hammer Hold. Do you know
Yes.
the location?
Perhaps.
Can you show me on a map where?
I could, perhaps.
Laja, can I have the map, please?
And I will come over, bringing the map.
Where?
And when you approach Elijah, Shandar kind of stamps his feet a little bit and he steps up out of his couch and turns around and he says, you notice he kind of blushes a little bit. And he says, I'm surprised with your short legs you could walk over here so quickly.
Great. And there is absolutely zero reaction on Laj's face.
Virian's gonna sit at the table opposite Shandar and give him a thumbs up and motion to like keep it up.
I bet I could throw you from here to Battlehammer Hold.
Great. Where on the map is it?
Now, listen here, friend. They say that information should never be given freely. Now, we already have a contract in order, your friends and I. I would add another item to that contract and tell you the location of Battlehammer Hold with all due happiness. However, for that information, I would only ask for the hand of your smelly friend here, the short one. And he points to Elijah.
Garns is gonna think for a second, reach into his bag and pull out that rotting, decayed head of the druid and set it down in front of him. Like, I have a shorter friend right here. Map.
A second later, Zach behind you says, "Now, my friend, if this is the way that you're gonna handle yourself here in the mead hall, I'm gonna have to ask you to leave."
Do you want help with this issue in your town or not?
I do, but I'm not gonna allow someone to intimidate or threaten any of my patrons.
But you're perfectly fine having someone insult your patrons.
Hold on. Maybe negotiation is needed. Shandar, maybe you would accept a compromise. What about a date? Then you could Elijah.
Oh, perhaps. I think that could work. A date with your friend here. I believe I could show you where it is.
I'll agree to that.
See, that wasn't so hard now, was it? No need to threaten anyone or pull out any decaying heads.
He just likes to do that. That wasn't even a threat, I don't think. He's very proud of his collection.
No need to become homicidal. We can all work together here. There, we are in agreement then. Your friends will recover the barrels, I will get elected speaker, I will go on a date with your friend and show you on the map where my old ancient homeland is. And perhaps along the way, little Loja, I can show you my new house and the task that you'll have in cleaning it. And perhaps we can find the kitchen.
Oh, I am embarrassed to ask this favor, but could we make it a double date? I've been kind of lonely out here in Icewind Dale.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not quite interested in any lizard man following me around.
I am actually Dragonborn, not Lizard Man. That's different. Very different. It would be like me calling you a gnome.
Huh. Well, I understand. No, you might could hang out with my friend here, Ted. And he points to one of the guys at the table. Ted's quite lonely these days. Ted gives you a wink.
Are you into any like board games, Ted?
I like to play board games.
All right.
There we go. Now everyone's happy. And he turns to you, guardian, and he says, "And you, I believe you could direct your murderous intentions towards the Vubby, the one that killed our poor speaker."
That's still to be determined.
Well, you're not gonna catch him here, are you?
He's just gonna look to Lodge. It's like, there was some sort of urgency to all of this, but apparently we're going to dance around it some more.
And Shandar says, "Okay, off you go then. Take your your head here."
I think it's in our best interest to do things in order this time, Guardian.
And Ted says to you, Rogar, "I like to play shoots and ladders. Do you?"
I'm not sure I've heard of this game. Sounds very interesting.
It's very complicated.
Maybe you'll have to show me this game, but at a later time.
And Zach kind of steps in closer to Elijah and he says, "Now, I'm not the biggest fan of Shandar, but you have to understand I can't allow that sort of behavior in my establishment."
No, I totally understand. I'm very sorry about all of this. I
Especially you
didn't come
understand
here. I
if
didn't come
Shandar
here
is
and
going to be, if Shandar is going to be the speaker one day, I can't have him as an enemy.
It's understandable. We'll definitely behave a bit better in the future. Okay, well, I am going to pack up my map and my things and start heading towards the door because this is overwhelming.
Yeah, Garden will head out too.
And I think you guys